If this stick could talk, if this stick could talk. That is, the stick I inherited from my father. It would recount an intriguing journey involving past owners and present. Like a GPS wand, it would present a collage of escapades, both old and new. Before I expand on such adventures, I feel compelled to first pay homage to its humble beginnings. In a natural gold with clear lacquer finishing, its trusty, rounded knob handle provides stability, and overall, it has been fashioned to withstand both the elements and years of heavy use. Close examination reveals that it was crafted from a piece of solid oak. The smooth twists that show off the wood grain unique to oak would have been created through use of a lathe, or in other words, a machine used in woodworking to shape wood into decorative, elongated, cylindrical shapes. While searching the net, I found a photo of a second-hand vintage Amish twist cane for sale. It was identical to mine. It likely originated in the Amish regions of, say, Pennsylvania. It came with a hefty price tag, no doubt attributed to its strength and durability, as well as the dedicated craftsmanship required to work with such a hard wood. Throughout history, it has been fashionable, if not downright practical, to carry a cane or a walking stick. Such an implement was valued for steadying oneself on uneven ground, or simply for getting around one's abode, be it humble or otherwise. The more affluent the personage, the more elaborate the cane. Some folks carried them both for show and as a weapon. For example, the actor Gene Barry portraying the U.S. lawman, gunfighter, and professional gambler Bat Masterson in the popular television series of the 1950s preferred taking out his enemies in the Old West with his showy gold-topped cane rather than with his gun. Harkening back to biblical times, Cecil B. DeMille's motion picture, The Ten Commandments, brought the book of Exodus to life by portraying Moses parting the Red Sea with his walking staff. And the golden age of Hollywood. The golden age of Hollywood just loved filming Fred Astaire putting on the Ritz with his top hat and cane. In modern times, hikers use walking sticks, also known as trekking poles, for overall balance and stability when traversing uneven or rugged terrain. A trekker going uphill benefits from transferring weight to the support of a walking stick, and going downhill benefits by being able to use the stick as a brake. While hollow canes were used during the Prohibition era to conceal vials of alcohol, in present day, hollow canes are still sported to hold the popular alcohol-based drink Caribou during Quebec's Winter Carnival. And drumroll please, from a utilitarian point of view, the cane cleverly serves as a walking stick for those who become a wee bit tipsy from overindulgence. On the wings of time, I inherited this wonderful keepsake when my father passed away in 2021. Now, as its present owner, I feel I would be remiss if I didn't share how it came to be amongst his possessions. My parents married and settled in Toronto following World War II. Once my siblings and I were grown, they would often visit my mother's younger brother and his spouse living in Quebec. They'd go out and about wining and dining at historic landmarks such as Gibby's, an 18th century stable refurbished as an upscale steakhouse. Long cry from a stable. And other places as such in old Montreal. Noticing my dad's deteriorating mobility, my uncle presented him with a gift of an old walking stick he happened to have on hand. My dad used it for several years until he received knee replacement surgery. By then, it had seen a lot of La Belle Provence, as well as Vegas and Florida, while in my dad's keeping. But who knows where else it had been? In 2011, both my uncle and my mom, in their 80s, died within a couple of weeks of one another. Several years later, my dad moved to the Veterans Center at Sunnybrook Health Sciences Center in Toronto. He sold his house, and the stick was relegated to a shelf in my garage for storage. Fast forward again to 2021, when my dad was just shy of his 99th birthday, he passed. It was during the shutdowns of the COVID pandemic, that I came across his walking stick while looking for things to do and tidying my garage. It was then, during those darkest of days, that I started using that stick on routine walks through wooded areas and lakefront trails to help keep my sense of balance, both literally and figuratively speaking. I became familiar with the Japanese term Shinrin-yoku, otherwise known as forest bathing. As such, it introduced me to a whole new sense of time and space while spending time in nature. In 2022, when the world emerged from what I call the COVID isolation era, both planned and grand events once again started unfolding. I felt an urgent need to celebrate life and find some sort of release from the angst of isolation and the bombardment of frightening newscasts. The fact that I was still standing was reason enough for celebration. Hence, I went on a yoga getaway with the Divine Destination Collection travel group at the spectacular Whispering Springs Wilderness Retreat in Ontario. Knowing that some forest bathing would be involved, I brought my beautiful golden oak walking stick along with me, which was admired by all. I shared the history of my brief ownership with my trail mates and of the stick's journey to and from many places of note while in my dad's possession. With humor, I thought out loud, if only this stick could talk, what a tale it would tell. Familiar with my penchant for writing, the response I got from my fellow hikers was, well, Linda, there you go. That's the title for your next essay. Returning home, I called my aunt in Montreal, my uncle's widow, to find out more about the stick. However, she was not able to offer any recall as to how my uncle had come to be its lucky owner. At that point, I began my online search for clues of origin and came across an exact replica of the walking stick I now hold with great reverence. In writing this essay, it brought to mind that I'd missed out on great opportunities to converse with my uncle about how he'd first stumbled upon this Amish twist cane, since typically there are no Amish in Quebec. Plus, Quebec itself is known for its own master carvers of Saint-Jean-Port-Joli. By now, you might be inclined to think, so much ado about an old wooden stick. But I have learned from experience, beyond the mysteries of this walking stick, that harvesting stories and lore from the elders amongst us offers so much more than contrived historical records. First-hand accounts render greater insight and understanding of an era because the storytellers are able to dig deep in expressing their culture, language, and traditions of days gone by. Their anecdotes are linked to a life they have lived, loved, and grieved over, and perhaps it's a life they yearn to relive in some small way by the retelling of both the good with the bad to those who would lend a listening ear, to those who, in the process, stand to gain a rich legacy of stepping stones for the future.